In 2017 and 18, seekers from all over the globe gathered at Kana Shantivanam, the world's largest heartfulness center near Hyderabad in India. They came together to intensify their practice of meditation and also deepen their understanding of 10 guidelines for daily living that form an integral part of the heartfulness movement. These 10 maxims were written in the 1940s by the great spiritual scientist Ramchandra of Shahjahanpur, affectionately referred to as Babuji. They were the result of Babuji's lifelong spiritual practice, observation of the vibratory patterns of nature, and direct experience under the tutelage of his guide, Lalaji Maharaj. Babuji offered a simple method called Sahaj Marg, or the natural path, as a means for spiritual evolution. A heart-based meditation practice assisted by yogic transmission. The sessions at Kana Shantivanam were conducted by Kamlesh T. Patel, or Daji, global guide of the heartfulness movement. Fix your goal, which should be complete oneness with God. Rest not till the ideal is achieved. In traditional yogic theory, Gyan, Karma, and Bhakti, or knowledge, action, and devotion, are 3 different paths to the infinite. Daji points out that on a cursory reading of the 3rd maxim, 3 things stand out.
Number 1 that came to my mind is fixing the goal. And we have to remain willfully aware of what the goal is all about. This is knowledge. Becoming aware of the destination, jnana, the purposeful knowledge. Second thing that strikes out, using helm to steer our way on the infinite ocean. Remaining busy with this helm steering through is our practice, our determination. That is karma yoga, or action in play. And third idea that emerges in here, the ingrained attitude of being a devotee, relationship of a lover and a beloved. This is nothing but bhakti yoga. So in short passage, Babuji Maharaj has brilliantly elucidated 3 different yogas and brought them together, Karma Yoga, Jnana Yoga, and Bhakti Yoga.
It is believed to be essential to fix our goal so that our efforts can be intensified to ensure success. However, we all experience that our goals keep changing throughout life. As children, as teenagers, and as adults, we have different goals. Our goals also change with our perspective. When we think from the viewpoint of our physical bodies, we want pleasure. Our spirit, on the other hand, craves happiness. But both pleasure and happiness are temporary.
These days there's so much of talk on compassion, empathy, non-violent communication. These are great things. Loving attitude, it's wonderful. In the East, the idea of liberation, it haunts everyone. Moksha, they don't want to be born again and again because of so much of suffering perhaps, so much of poverty perhaps, so much of misunderstanding in day-to-day life in the family. They get fed up. So it's easy to say, I don't like to be born again and again, and why go to the schools and colleges and love affairs and breaking of hearts all the time. So out of frustration, they say, okay, enough, I like to exit from such a cycle. So they make a goal, I don't want to be born again. That means they want to feel liberated. But what will you do after liberation? What will you do with compassion? What will you do with all this? It will have further action. Lalaji puts very beautifully, what is the purpose of knowledge? That is also our goal sometimes in our life. We say, oh, I like to acquire a lot of knowledge. What is the purpose of knowledge? What do we want to achieve with this knowledge? If I have the enough knowledge for the moment to steer through in life, it's good enough. So, compassion, it's great. Love is great. Working with harmony and unity, it's great. But that can never become ultimate goal. Anything that leads to something and that something also has a consequence, then that cannot become my ultimate goal. If knowledge is the goal for now, but if knowledge is going to take me somewhere, then that cannot become my ultimate goal. It can be only temporary. Goal is always something having which I don't have to search for anything else in my life. That is the ultimate goal.
In India, Satchitananda is also sometimes cited as a goal. It denotes truth, consciousness, and bliss. However, this too is not permanent.
What will you do with this Anandam anyway? It is good. All these things are required in our day-to-day life, no doubt. Pleasures are needed, happiness is needed, bliss is needed. But according to Babaji again, he says going beyond bliss into non-bliss state where there is nothingness. It is not that there is nothing at all, but that pure sublime state, which is difficult to describe actually. It's only our experience will tell us when we arrive at that state.
In the journey of spirituality, unless one fixes the ultimate for one's goal, it is easy to stop short, mistaking one of the intermediate points as the final state or reality. Therefore, only God can be the ultimate goal. For a new seeker, the idea of oneness with God is not an easy concept to grasp. Many are uncomfortable with the very idea of God. However, God, or the ultimate, is the very purpose of spiritual practice. It is the foundation of everything. The problem occurs when we try and define God, when we see Him as a judge, a giver, or a protector. All definitions of God are bound to be untrue. How can we define the state of perfect balance that existed before creation, the state beyond the singularity? The true definition of God is revealed to the individual in the innermost core of one's heart at the opportune moment.
Let's not get carried away and say, oh, my goal is God realization. Though our Maxim says, fix your goal which should be complete oneness with God. That's the ultimate thing. But for now, what is my goal? My goal is to appreciate what has been given to me now at this moment, digest it, expand it. A while back, I was sharing in a lighter way how these 5 vowels helps us in our spiritual practice. 5 vowels are A, E, I, O, U. Right? A is about acquiring the condition. When we meditate, we acquire the condition. And when we appreciate the condition so much, you like to enliven it, you want to intensify it, you want to give life to it. Take it further, enliven it. That is E. I is to imbibe the condition inward towards the heart. And later become one with that state that leads us to final union or the merger.
There are various ways to experience ever more refined states of being. With a daily practice like heartfulness, we can make ourselves more receptive.
Daily, when we go through all these practices and we become more and more worthy, more and more capable of holding those refined states, then more such states will be downpoured or downloaded into our system. If my inner being is not capable of holding, if it is not capable of even digesting something, it will not be downloaded. System will reject it. So daily practice prepares us to receive higher and higher doses of various states. I don't expect to receive the finalmost state in the very first sitting. No, it will only give us the glimpse of it. Second sitting will be a glimpse of it. Third, such glimpses goes on and on. Like a guy who visits a gym and starts lifting weights. You don't expect a guy to lift weights 100 pounds on the first session in the gym. He'll have to start with 5 kilos and 10 kilos and slowly increase by kilo or pound by pound and build up the muscle system.
There are also many places where we may encounter whirlpools while plying the ocean of spirituality. But the strength of our will and confidence will help us overcome such whirls and proceed on straight to the destination.
What are these whirls at places? When we are swimming, and the whirls can also be there. When you are swimming, especially in the river or in the ocean, there can be whirls. It pulls you in. If you are not a master swimmer, it will drag you and drown you. What are the whirls in our life? The biggest whirlpools that we all face in our life are emotional bursts from our most beloved, most dear ones. These are the deadliest whirls that can badly destabilize us. That makes you so angry from inside. You lose your balance. how to come out of such emotional whirlpools that keep on dragging us. Should I stop swimming in the river? Should I avoid such a family member altogether? What do I do when I get succumbed to such whirlpools and bursts of anger emerges from my system? So only solution, he says, the strength of our will and confidence helps us to overcome all of them. We have to remind ourselves at that moment, but those moments for a lot of us, you don't know what your destination is anyway. You at times forget, no, this is my beloved, I can't raise my hand, I can't shout. You forget who your beloved was at that moment or is. And as someone says, as the distance between two individuals widen, you have to shout more. Here, if you fight with the world, with that pool inside, you'll lose all your strength while swimming, and definitely you'll get drowned. But it is to go with the world, go to the bottommost of it. It is like this, and it goes down and it becomes weaker and weaker at the bottom. So go with the world, go to the bottommost of it, and then when it becomes weaker, you slide out.
The journey may appear long, but once we set the ultimate for our goal, we are not daunted by it. Daji goes on to point out the different terms that Babuji uses to describe the goal.
He describes the goal in many different words. He describes goal as ideal, which is to be highest. He also described this as that something that is associated with the absolute. Highest ideal, something that is associated with the absolute. Then he gives another word, infinite absolute. Then he calls that highest also as the supreme. Next passage he calls it as the great being. Also calls it as my beloved. He addresses that highest as the Lord, also as the reality. So in many ways he has tried to describe the highest state. It can appeal to an intellectual mind, to a devotee, all kinds of minds it covers with this sort of description. But out of all the entire thing, what appeals me the most is this sentence, divine help does come, no doubt, but only when the Supreme is convinced of the devotee's earnestness of purpose. This I had read so many times but didn't appeal to my heart as much as when I understood that, my faith in God is strong. I was always thinking from my side. But it is also important that He should have trust in me too. He should be sure that this fellow is earnest, he is sincere, he is really searching, he is authentic. Otherwise, why would he fool around with us? If your goal is in sight, your mind is not wavering, you have matured mental tendencies towards the goal. and you are using all your energies in one direction, then the Supreme will say, yes, this is matured mind, seeking mind, authentic mind. Let me come to rescue. Those who are authentic, those who are matured, those upon whom God can have reliance, they are kept on a fast track.
Since the goal is the noblest, the intention to reach it develops into a strong craving. We begin to feel impatient for it. When we get into this habit, the tendencies of the mind are diverted to it with full vigor. We have to create in us this intense longing or extreme impatience, which helps our passage to God.
You are invited to meditate on the Maxim to reach a personal understanding of it. Internalize the words so that hidden facets and nuances of meaning may unfold within. Practice it so that its efficacy can be genuinely witnessed.